Welcome to Strange Sculpting, where we redefine strength and sculpt success, one episode at a time. Let's get started.
Welcome to the weekly Resilience Podcast. I'm Don Strange with my co-host, lovely co-host, Cynthia Mandel.
Hi,
And,
everyone.
and today, by the way, it's a very fitting podcast because the topic we're going to talk about is about Cynthia's not only transformation, but what she went through. And it really goes along with this: fear doesn't stop death, it stops life. Because Cynthia, my friends, colleagues, she has cheated death more than anybody I've ever met in my life. And so I would probably, if I was going to title this, I would probably title it Cynthia Mandel, Stronger Than Death Edition. I think that's probably what I would name it if I was going to name it. Is that a good name for it? Stronger Than Death.
Yeah, that could sum it up. Yes, sir.
Because I can't
Really,
wait.
Cynthia with Jesus is stronger
Yeah.
than by myself, not so much.
Yeah. It's you just wait till you get into this, guys, because this is crazy what Cynthia went through, and Jesus and muscle saved her. But Cynthia, before we start, I'm going to ask you this question
Sure.
because I remember it like it was yesterday, getting the call of what was going on with you and people freaking out. It's a very serious subject. Whenever somebody's in a coma, and so basically the calls I got was Cynthia's basically dead. But actually, one of the calls I got was from the doctor, and the doctor said, "Is this Don?" Yeah, it said Cynthia. Her last wish was she wants you to sing at her funeral. I said, "Cynthia's not going to die." And I said, "But what song?" And it was Bette Midler, the wind beneath my wings. And I was like, my God, this is my finally. So it's kind of like whenever you live, it's kind of like, oh man, I really want to sing because I never got the stage. But I was like practicing everything, and Jesus told me she's not going to die. But how close was it really? In reality, how close were you to dying? Because I had my playlist ready. I was going to sing Wind Beneath My Wings, but how close were you, Cynthia? Tell the people and give them the backdrop of what happened, because we're going to build a case here on why she's alive. It's not only Jesus, but stuff but she did along with Jesus, being obedient. Go ahead, Cynthia.
That's exactly right. Okay, so what happened was, Reader's Digest version is I had a gastric bypass surgery 21 years ago. I was away on vacation, and there was a blockage that I guess burst, and I got really sick. And when I came home, I didn't get better. I got worse. And I'm not a big doctor's person, so I will do everything I can not to go to the hospital or to the doctor's office. So I missed Saturday church, I missed Sunday church, and then I missed Tuesday's church. And I was really feeling, I'm like, oh my God, I never missed 3 days of church in a row ever, unless I was on vacation. And the Holy Spirit said Tuesday night, if you feel like this in the morning, you have to go to the emergency room. So I went to the emergency room, and 7.5 hours later, they finally figured out what was wrong. And they saw that there was black fluid filling my abdomen. And they put me to a room, and I went to the next morning. They were going to just take out they did a CAT scan, take out the fluid. And the doctor was very funny because the doctor had a little container like this. And then he looked at the CAT scan. He goes, okay, you need to go we're going to have to get a different tube because we're going to have to go to the suction in the wall. And they took out 1,700 cc's of black fluid out of my abdomen, which equals 3 quarts of liquid.
That's insane.
And every doc kept that, I was like, they're like, I have never seen anything like this before. They're like, what is this? Because it wasn't like blood or anything like that. It actually looked like mud with coffee grinds in it. That's how bad it was.
That's so gross.
So the doctor came in and he goes, okay, so here's what's going to happen. You have a blockage. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and bypass the blockage in an easy surgery. While I'm in there, I'll take out your gallbladder because it's a miracle you already have your gallbladder because most people who have gastric bypass surgery, their gallbladder goes bad in 5 years. This is 21 years later. So he said it'd probably go bad in the next 2 years. So he took it out because there was some little stones or something. And then we were all ready for me to go have this little surgery and be out in 2 days, go to my friend's house. She'd take care of me. We're all good. And something happened where he made a mistake. And when he was closing, he missed the staple. And my intestinal fluids went through my system for about 10 hours. And I got what was called super septic shock. And I went in and out of consciousness. And then they came to take me from my room down to the ICU. And, it was, we always talk about 5, the Bible tells us that 5 is grace. So she said, okay, so we're going to take you to the ICU and we're going to put you in room 4. So I said, don't you have a room 5?
That's good.
Literally, she said to me, I'm sorry, room 5 isn't big enough for what's about to happen. And that is the last thing I remember, except for 2 things while I was out. So anyway, so what happened was I went in, like I said, super septic shock. I was in a coma. I couldn't hold blood pressure. I was literally dead except for the machines, but my brain wasn't 100% dead. I just found that out today, by the way. I didn't even know that they did an EKG to test to see if they should let me live because they gave me less than 1% chance to live. Less than 1% chance. That means that 99.9% of the people that get what I got die within a few days.
That's so freaking nuts. How long were you in a coma? I don't know if you said that. By the way,
15 days.
15 days.
Mm-hmm. And most people don't come off of a ventilator after 15 days. I'll send you some pictures of me in the ICU so that you can add it to the
okay,
to our podcast.
That is insane. I knew I'm reliving it again because I totally remember it because whenever I got calls daily with updates and it was dire, but I will tell you this: that because I believe Cynthia Mandel's got a huge calling. I've never met anybody that had so much life in them that wanted to give, that wanted to do something. I've met a lot of people, so there's a lot of people like that. But you're an exceptional. You were excited about life. You had so much life inside you. Age is just a number. Life is not just the passing of time; it's the experience we have and the intensity and the frequency of those experiences we have. And you're put on earth for a purpose. And I knew that Cynthia Mandel had a purpose, is whatever people called me. And they said this out of all the people I know, I said, no, Cynthia's not going to die. She hasn't fulfilled her purpose. Not even close. She's just right now on the cusp of it. So honestly, I think I've told you this, and there is no doubt. Of course, I didn't see you in the hospital. I just got the people who've seen you, and
over the phone.
Yeah, you're 5 shades of green. If I might have had, well, I don't know, but there was no doubt in me, and I'm not just saying that at the time. But if I'd have been there, I might have been like, well, I better start singing. I better practice that Bette Midler song, right? But what do you think? Obviously, Jesus. What would you say would have happened, because you trained with me for a year? How much of what we did together actually benefited you? Do you think it had anything to do with it all? You think, what, not only Jesus, but what, because sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. Most people get septic shock and they're dead. I have a friend that passed away from septic, and died. And he was in good shape. But for you, what do you think? Jesus, and do you think the working out helped you at all? What do you think?
Oh, without a doubt. Because if you think about it logically, I had lost at that point with you probably about, let's go 80, 90 pounds around there.
Yeah.
Think about that. I worked out 5 times a week. I walked, I did everything. If I had not had my body that strong, I never would have lived through that. Never.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have. And even even if I had lived through it, I would not have been physically strong enough to learn to walk again, to learn to stand, to be able to do anything that I do now.
Yeah.
Anything, because they even spoke that. They said, okay, she's like, when I woke up, I couldn't move, like not my arms, my legs, nothing. I could turn my head, and I could move this hand a little bit up, but that is it. If I would have still been that 80 pounds heavier, think of it logically. How much
Yeah.
harder would have been on the people trying to
Yeah.
take care of me. So the care might not have been as good because it was much more difficult. And I wouldn't have been able to fight because I was too weak. I have
Yeah.
very big muscles. I
Yeah.
have great bones because I was always so big. So, all that weight training, people, really helps you. And
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the weights that you eat. So that makes you stronger. The fact that you're, working out your muscles nonstop makes you stronger. Because we talked about this on one of our other podcasts about memory, muscle memory. And I never understood what that meant until then, because it was miraculous. That's the only word that anybody ever used, is that how quickly I went from dead to being able to walk on my own.
Yeah.
They, when they first tried to sit me up, I could not sit up, like with two people holding me, for more than 15 seconds. I'm like, you got to lay me down. I can't. And I literally threw up on people a couple of times because I was like,
Oh man.
not to gross you people out.
Those
Sorry.
are those are some good friends. You threw up on me one time. I'm sorry.
No, they were nurses, not even my
Oh,
friends.
oh yeah. That's
They were the
nurse.
OT and the PT people. And I
Okay.
got to tell you something that you don't know.
Oh wow.
The woman that did the PT, her name is Kate.
Yep.
Being who I am, I love people. I was even so sick. I was praying for people when they were doing the CAT scan, and praying for people when they were doing the x-rays,
That's
and all
awesome.
these different things. And this woman, Kate, she's the PT. She was my first one, and she was with me almost the whole time. And she was trying to have a baby. And I prayed over her. They did an in vitro fertilization, and it didn't IVF, and then it didn't work. And then I said don't worry, even though it's not now, it's going to happen. And then I went home, and she's in the hospital. We're not like buddies,
Yeah.
but she found me on Facebook. She now has a 6-month-old baby girl
My gosh, that's awesome.
that we prayed for. And
The
she's like, I said to her, I said, you're a huge part, because, I put my little walks and stuff up. And she said how proud she is. And I said, a lot of who I am and how I recovered is because of how you took care of me. She goes, and you're the reason that I continue to do what I do. And we never give up on anybody.
That's right. I love that. That's a great story. You prayed for somebody and a baby. Don't pray for me.
Yeah,
I don't want any babies.
me neither.
So yeah, I'm buying that. You know what's amazing? Did you know this? Because you lost all that weight, you lost almost 100 pounds of body fat. You built muscle mass. You actually, before you started with me, you had trained before. You built all that muscle mass back that you lost,
Mhm.
even in a calorie restricted diet. You did that, and you were stronger than ever before you had that incident happen. But there's some stats that are in this way anyway, because if you're out there, you're like, man, I think, first of all, we're trainers, and so we want everybody to work out. But as far as from the health standpoint, a lot of people, because I train everybody, train people like Cynthia, she's lost over 200 pounds. I train competitors, I train people that's just normal stay-at-home moms, soccer moms. I've trained everybody. But some people need some more fire to get them started. Well, this is fire, because Cynthia would be dead if she hadn't worked out. Jesus, obviously, and then also being obedient to that voice telling you, hey, you need to get this weight off. You need to work out. That was God, because God always speaks life into people. But 50, get this. People who have low muscle mass are 57% more likely to die of any cause than
Wow.
people who don't have muscle mass. And so the stats, so if you're out there, you're like, man, I really don't want to work out. Well, I would probably say, you need to have a tough talk with yourself. I guarantee you, Cynthia, because me and you we're straight shooters. Sometimes say mean stuff, but I'm not a mean spirited person. But sometimes you got to look in the mirror and you got to say, hey, the chickens come home to roost. And so if you're out there, you can't figure out a reason to work out. Well, Cynthia, what would you tell that person? My gosh, look where you come from. You would be dead right now if you hadn't. So people, if you're trying to come up with a reason, what's my reason? And this is also this. I'm just going to say this: motivation. You've heard me say this a million times because we talked about this. The motivation comes from the root word motive and the suffix ation, which means action. The motive produces the action. And so you had real reasons, and those real reasons were you didn't want to die early for sure. That was one of the reasons why you wanted to get healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you got to shock yourself, guys, and you got to say, hey, I'm going to die if I don't get in shape, that's a good reason, right? You don't want to die. I think our main job, our main function in life is like, hey, I want to live another day, right? And so what would you tell somebody that's like, hey, they're on the fence about working out? What would you do to say to put a fire under them to say, hey, you know what? You're alive because you worked out. Is there anything you want to add to that?
Well, what I would say, there's a lot of things I would say. One of the first things that I would say is that you don't want to work out because you think it's going to be boring or you think it's going to be difficult. The
Yeah.
good thing about going with people who know what they're doing is we will help you to get to what you like to do. And believe me, I'm one of those weird people that I really love working out. It's a lot. I mean, the way that you feel, the strength that you get, the
Yeah.
the accomplishment at the end of a workout is bar none the best high you're ever going to get, because you've got endorphins going, you've got your proudness going, and this is not about fitting into a size 6. It's about being the healthiest you can be. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter what you weigh. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. It's about starting. It's about making sure that you're doing it one day after the other. And am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. I have little points. Nobody is. There is points where even Don, I'm sure, is like, it is the middle of winter. It's got 10 feet of snow and 4 feet of ice, and I am not leaving my house, even though he does have that lovely picture of a gym behind him. So, I mean, there are times you can't do it, but the thing I sometimes think stops people, Don, is
What
they
is that?
don't believe that they can do it, because it's
Okay.
hard to do it on your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
You walk into a gym, you're intimidated. You're like, look at all these
Mhm.
machines. What's what? That's why you
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
experts like us.
That's right.
And second thing is, you are worth it to do it.
Yes, you totally are.
Everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you came from, doesn't matter what you've been through. I mean, eventually we'll go through everything. Probably within the next 2 weeks, I'll have a QR code for my new book that's coming out, to be able to put on the bottom of this, and that'll give you start of my story. And there isn't a lot of people that have been through more than I have since I'm a child.
Yeah.
So God has great things in store for me. I know that, because whatever's taken from you, he will replace. So don't think that, like I did for decades, I'm so fat, why bother?
Yeah.
Don't do that to yourself. If I would have done what I did now 20 years ago, I would have avoided a lot of other things.
Mhm.
I wouldn't have had to do gastric bypass surgery. I would have done it this way and not be struggling now with having to have a revision in my stomach, because it's all healed from what happened before, but there's a hiatal hernia that's blocking it that has to be taken out. So now I'm working out harder. I'm pushing
Mhm.
myself harder because I have to get ready for the next surgery that's coming.
That's right. That's even more motivation for you to get and build that muscle mass so you can not only live through this one, but then come on the other side, and it makes your recovery much more effortless than what it would be if you didn't, because
Yep.
you got the muscle mass. We were doing it right. Um, you said something there that I wish I'd have wrote down because I was going to pontificate about it. And now I forgot what it was. That's a shame. You know what? Do you think you lived because you were just stubborn? You think you're just too stubborn to die?
Well, that's what PD said. Pastor David said on stage, he said, when they
Uh,
told me about you, about Cynthia Mandel, I knew that she wasn't going to die because she's got too much fight in her.
oh, yes, yes. She's too stubborn to die.
That's exactly right. And because, you know what? And I don't know whether I would classify it as stubborn. Maybe other
Stubborn?
people do, but I may not.
No.
Um, I classify it more as resilient because
Absolutely.
you've had, growing up the way I did, no family, no nothing. I have always had to be pretty much self-sufficient
Yeah.
because there was no, and this is part of why I am so strong. And we have to be thankful for the things that happen to us, good and bad,
Yes.
because I believe that even back then, with all of the things that happened growing up, it made me such a strong-willed, strong perseverance person that, again, that also added in to being able to say, no matter what happens, I'm going to do this. No matter what happens, I'm going to do that. Once I realized I was worth it, nothing could stop me.
So basically, what you're saying is you got to know you're worth it. You said that earlier in there. You said you got to know you're worth it. A lot of people don't believe they can because they got this mindset that has been basically killing their ambition and killing their goals that they want to reach on because they've got this I can't attitude. And so you got to quit feeding into those lies. And that's the reason why it's good to listen to people like me and Cynthia. We do this weekly resilience podcast to try to put positive things inside your mind. That way you can go to the positive destiny you were designed and you were chosen by God to get there. Not only there, but also fit and fabulous like Cynthia. Cynthia's got, I think you're right after this, you're going to be a Hawaiian swimsuit model, Hawaiian tropic swimsuit model right after.
Never, people. Never. That's not on my list of things I'd like to do.
You know what? It's not on my list either, Cynthia. I never did look
Look,
good
I'm
on the
glad you don't want to
suitcase.
wear bikini and heels. That makes
Yeah,
me very happy, Don.
I'm so happy as well. I don't.
I'm sure
Yeah,
Tammy's very happy about that as well.
side story about Tammy. Tammy is like one of the. And I don't know. This has nothing to do with the podcast, but I'm going to say it anyway because I'm going to actually bring people into our relationship and how you actually have to bring me back into the topic of conversation that we
It's
have.
like herding cats, people.
It is. Tammy's like one of the, me, I could get distracted. The squirrel outside, Andy walks in, a pen drops off my desk. I'm like, what is that? Tammy is probably one of the most focused people ever. I'm focused, but not hyper focused. I could walk in her room while she's working. I could put on one of her dresses and strut by her. She wouldn't even notice. She would not notice anything. She's that much in the zone. Not that I've wore her dresses, by the way, but I
I don't think
could.
you fit in my dress.
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't fit in her dress though, but I could. Not you, Tammy. Tammy's the person who's so focused. I could walk by. I don't know if you got that right, but
Yeah, I
Tammy,
did.
I could walk. You're probably that way focused too. I think you probably are. I think you're like this.
No, I do quite a few things at the same time.
You're a multitasker.
You
I'm
have to
not.
be in what I do.
Cynthia,
Tell me, Don.
what would you tell people to say? Because everybody's got a lot of excuses. Not only the lie that they believe that they can't, but what would you tell people to say? Hey, I'm going to start next week. I'm just going to start next week. I'm going to start. You know what? After Easter, what would you say to that person?
The only time that's a valid point is between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Yeah.
Then you can stay after the New Year because everybody's eating everything around you. So even the people that really try and be doing this all year long go off on that. It's the holidays.
Yeah.
There's no time like the present. Tomorrow never comes because tomorrow then becomes today.
Yeah.
So do it today and start small. We're not telling you to go to the gym and work out for 4 hours. That's not what this is about. This is about being the best you can be, the healthiest you can be.
Yeah.
That's what this is about. And the thing that everybody should learn from us, Don, is that our mind is very powerful. And
Yeah.
if we are looking at the wrong thing, our mind will stay in the wrong place. I
Yeah.
I just put a little saying up on Instagram. It's under Cynthia Mandel. I'm wearing a blue shirt, so you know it's me.
Mhm.
And it said, worrying is like having a conversation that has no end. Praying is having a conversation with the person that can solve it.
That's very profound.
So if you're looking at your problem instead of the solution, you're always going to have the wrong choice. And it goes back to our little podcast. And we're going to do more on limiting belief because it's a huge thing for everybody. I don't care who you are. Everybody has limiting beliefs in their lives that stop us from doing certain things.
Mhm.
So when you're listening to this and you think, I have no limiting beliefs, think of something you've always wanted to do and have never allowed yourself to do it. Why? Or when you go into a room, do you become silent right away because there's a lot of people around? Do you become more boisterous so that you can be seen? There's many different things, and we will go over all of that together in different podcasts. We're always here to assist.
Yes, we are. You said what you believe. There's a famous quote by Henry Ford. He said, "Whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right either way." That's very
Mm.
biblical, by the way. The Bible says, "Whatsoever a man believes in the heart, or if you believe in your heart, you confess your mouth, Lord Jesus, you'll be saved." Well, everything is based upon belief. That's what the Bible is. Faith without works is dead. And so, what we want you guys to do is this: we want you to start acting. Start acting today. Do something. Don't. Faith without works is dead. And so, and that just means a lot of people do this, Cynthia. There's a difference between, there's a lot of positive affirmations. I 100% believe positive affirmations. I say them a lot. I'm not going to say anything negative about myself. I'm not going to say negative anything to Cynthia Mandel. I'm always going to say positive stuff. But there's an area that's very tricky. It's an area of optimistic delusion. And what that is the beginning of delusion is whenever words don't lead to action. So if you say you're going to do it, just do it. Don't lie to yourself. Say, I'm going to go to the gym and actually do it. Because we're just like the Bible says, faith not works is dead. And so the end result that we want for you guys is to get in the best shape of your life, obviously, be healthy. But that starts with a single step. We're not asking you to do everything. Actually, we're not asking you to do too much. Just do one thing today that's more positive than you did yesterday. Put the soda down and drink water today. It's just that easy. And then the next day, there's I don't know what book it is, but I was listening to somebody and they were talking about this book where it's just 1% better every day. If you do 1% better than day, that's easy. 1%, seriously. At the end of the year, you're 100% better than you were the year before. Actually, in 100 days. But just one simple thing. People overcomplicate. You said something earlier when people don't want to go to the gym because they don't know what to do. You always know what to do, but you look for something outside of what you know because you think that's the answer, but the answer is right for you. It's that simple. It's like, walk. You know what I'm saying? If you can walk, walk. And then to walk until you can do better. Now, I need some more knowledge. Well, now, hire a trainer, hire us. We know what we're doing. We're not confused about it. I think that's one thing that saved me so much time is I don't know what I'm doing. And so I remember whenever I hired a trainer, Cynthia, this is a conversation I had with one of my friends. He said, I hired this guy, spent like 10 grand with him. It was the best money I ever spent, by the way. But this joker said, why don't you work out with me? Well, look at you. I'm not working out with you. You don't know what you're doing. Why would I don't know what I'm doing. Why would I entrust my health and my fitness with somebody who obviously don't know what they're doing? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, because he didn't. You ever see somebody who looks like they're drunk working out? That was this guy. So not only did he not look the part, but he looked like he was a drunk guy working out. And so I actually, I sped up time because to my destination as far as being fit because I spent the money. It's the best money I ever spent in my life. I always tell people this is just did a consultation earlier, just sold to people on a fitness plan. Great people, already like them, and I know they're going to do well. And I said to him, what did I say to him? It was the greatest thing I ever said, and it escaped my mind, Cynthia. You know what? People have to come back for the next podcast to get what I had in my head because it was so brilliant. I think the Bible says the devil come to steal, kill, and destroy. It's the people out there aren't praying, and the devil stole these words of wisdom from me, Cynthia, that it was
Well,
going to
let me
change
give
your life.
you a minute. I just want to show some people this drink that I'm drinking.
Okay.
So, you think about that. And before we go, I just want to do this. A lot of people don't, they want something that tastes really good
Yep.
and something that's going to be very satisfying. This, and I don't make any money from this company, so buy it or don't buy it, it doesn't matter to me. I've used this. This
Oh.
has 42 grams of protein. Where is this? 42 grams of protein in it. It's got a bunch of electrolytes. It's got a lot of stuff, and it tastes like a milkshake. Because I can't eat, I drink one of these and one of the ones that's 150 calories every single day. That's 72 grams of protein in just one drink. Now, a drink takes me about an hour to drink it, but still, I could not eat 72 grams of protein in an hour. So find the things that help you. If you want to eat, if you're a person who like me, I love candy.
Hmm.
Candy, cookies, cake,
You're
doesn't
speaking my
matter. Ice
language.
cream, love it. Okay. So what I do is I buy protein bars. I spend a little bit more money on my protein bars than other people. I'm very picky about the protein bars I like. So there's a couple of them out there, later if you DM me, I'll put it on the side. I don't want to, saying things where they're saying, oh, you're using our name or anything. So let me know. But there's two companies that are really delicious and literally taste like you're eating a candy bar.
Yeah.
And some of them either set between 17 and 20 grams of protein each. So there are so many ways that you can be satisfied and eat and still become lean.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean that you have to eat chicken and broccoli every single day. If it
Facts.
did, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm
facts.
not that a broccoli person, and I definitely won't eat asparagus. So this is what the reason I'm telling you this is because I want to show you that this is going to be something that is doable for your life. Start smaller in the beginning because we want to lose the weight. As you maintain and as you get further, closer and closer, we broaden what you're going to do so that this is a lifestyle, not a diet. All yours, sir. Did you remember?
Yeah, no, I didn't. It's gone. People need to pray. They'll get it next time. But yeah, you always got to be prepared. You got to always have those snacks you like. It's like this. I was like this call that I just had with this guy. I said, if I don't like it, I'm not going to eat it. I spent a lot of my life eating foods. I drink tuna shakes. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm too old. I'm 48 years old. I know I look like I'm 47.
No, 48 already? Oh my gosh, how
I
did
know. You know
that?
what, Cynthia? You don't have to bring attention to my age, please. You know what I'm saying? I feel bad enough already. But
Wait till you're my age, then you're really going to be in trouble.
oh boy, you're young, Cynthia. You look young.
That's because I'm a 12-year-old inside.
But I told him, I said, I'm not going to eat food I don't like anymore. I did it too long. And so it's hard enough to stick with a plan, that you even like because of discipline. But at the end of the road of discipline is far better than that end of the line of instant gratification. You give in to what your body wants all the time, you be 700 pounds and at the bar looking at naked women. And so maybe not you, Cynthia. Where did that come from? Right there?
Fun.
700 pounds.
People, we don't look at naked women, I can guarantee you.
the deal is you
He's a
got
12-year-old as well. Did you see that? That's why
exactly.
we get along so well.
The deal is though, here's the you I eat food I like, and you just said something, and you could say the name of those. I know you're going to put them on there. I'll put them in the bottom, but well, we could tell
One is
them.
the barbells,
Yep.
and the other one is Built. Now,
Oh, those are
Built
so
got
good.
so Don, they got so popular
I know
that
they did.
so many people ordered, it almost shut down their production. They have everything on back order right now. That's why I
Oh
had to go
man.
back to the barbells.
Oh
They're both
wow.
delicious, but Built to me is just a little, sorry, barbell, just a little bit better
Yeah.
flavor wise, but the barbells are
The
very good
the
as
bear
well.
bells are good. You know,
Bear bells? I thought they're barbells.
maybe I don't know, bear bells,
He's
barbells.
probably right.
I think they're barbells. It could be barbells. Regardless, they're very good. We'll put the link on the bottom. We'll just throw some business their way. maybe they'll send us a check for millions of dollars. But that's very good. There's also another one.
I'll take free protein bars. You can give him the millions. No.
I'll take the millions. That way I can feed you more protein bars.
Okay.
But the Fit Crunch bar is pretty good. I kind of got burned on the normal Fit Crunch bar.
I
But
don't like those.
you know what? Wait, Cynthia. Wait. Let me tell you something. The Fit Crunch wafer. I got excited. I could barely get it out. Fit Crunch wafer. It's 17 grams of protein, 240 calories, so it's a little bit higher in calories. However, it is gold. They got one. It tastes like the Thin Mints that you get. It tastes identical to the Thin Mints you get from those urchins that try to sell you cookies at Walgreens. I'm not going to say their names. It's so funny because those sales kids. Oh, this is a true story. And then we're going to be done. Sorry, guys, you got to listen to the story. I'm going to tell Cynthia Mandel. We go whenever me and my wife go anywhere. Around this time, those Girl Scouts are at Walmart. They're at Deerberg's. That's our local grocery store we got here. They're at every Home Depot. They're every freaking where.
Everywhere.
Walgreens.
Crazy money, Don.
Oh my gosh, I see them and I can't say no to kids. Little girls can't say no to them. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And so I won't go in. My wife, she's like, seriously, Tammy, she says, seriously. We pull up to Walgreens. She said, you going to go in? I said, absolutely. I'm not going in. You go in. She said, you seriously not going to go in? I said, I can't walk past them. They're hustlers, man. They are salespeople. They said, I remember last time it was like, it made me mad because of how good they are to sales. They one box for $5, two box for 10, 3 for 15. It's like, I'm doing the math in my head. I'm saying, wait a second. It's not a better deal. The more I buy, I don't get any more. These guys are freaking, I can't stand those urgents. They're so good at what they do. Anyway, okay.
Cause.
I'm glad I got that off my chest. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked the podcast. Cynthia, would you like to say anything at the end? You got any parting words before I wrap it up here? You got anything you want to tell the people?
No, just saying goodbye to everybody. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you next time. And we're here to help you. Just let us know what we can do.
Okay. Also, I just can't. You want this shirt? Fear doesn't stop death. It didn't stop Cynthia. It won't stop you.
I love that shirt, Dawn.
It stops life. So you don't have anything to fear except fear yourself. Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that. Also on the back, it's got Isaiah 55:3 or 53:5. He was wounded for our transgression. He was chastised and iniquity. But anyway, you can look it up yourself. You get this shirt at strangesculpting.com. Please, this is what puts us on the air. Also, all the links are in the show notes below. So you want to talk, you want to reach out to Cynthia, it's down there. If you want to reach out to me, it's down there. Watch our last programs and stay tuned for the next one. It's going to be even better. And you might actually get that sound bite that I was supposed to give earlier the devil stole from you guys because you guys are prayerless. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Keep the faith. Stay strong. Keep pushing forward. This is Strange Sculpting's Weekly Resilience Podcast. See you next time.